This is an ancient manuscript. It's the manuscript of Mary Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, and the Gospel according to Mary Magdalene, and parts of it are missing. And we got we begin at chapter 4, and starting with verse 22. So all of the first three chapters plus the 21 verses of chapter 4 are missing, and we'll begin. I'll just begin reading. Pages 1 to 6 of the manuscript containing chapters 1 to 3 are lost. The extant text starts on page 7. Will matter then be destroyed or not? That's a question, and that was evidently the last of verse 21 of chapter 3. The Savior said, all nature, all formations, all creatures exist in with one another, and they will be resolved again into their own roots. Verse 23, for the nature of matter is resolved in the roots of its own nature alone. Verse 24, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. Verse 25, Peter said to him, since you have explained everything to us, tell us this also, what is the sin of the world? The Savior said, there is no sin, but it is you who make sin. When you do the things that are like the nature of adultery, which is called sin. That is why the good came into your midst, to the essence of every nature, in order to restore it to its root. Then we continued and said, that is why you become sick and die, for you are deprived of the one who can heal you. Verse 29, he who has a mind to understand, let him understand. Verse 30, matter gave birth to passion that has no equal, which proceeded from something contrary to nature. Then there arises a disturbance in the whole body. Verse 31, that is why I said to you, be of good courage, and if you are discouraged, be encouraged in the presence of the different forms of nature. Verse 32, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. Number 33, when the Blessed One had said this, he greeted them, all saying, peace be with you, receive my peace unto yourselves. Verse 34, beware that no one lead you astray, saying, lo here, or lo there. For the Son of Man is within you. 35, follow after him. 36, those who seek him will find him. 37, go then and preach the gospel of the kingdom. Verse 38, do not lay down any rules beyond what I appointed you, and do not give a law like the lawgiver, lest you be constrained by it. Verse 39, then he said this, and when he said this, he departed. Chapter 5, verse 1, but they were grieved. They were greatly saying, How shall we go to the Gentiles and preach the gospel of the kingdom of the Son of Man? If they did not spare him, how will they spare us? Verse 2, Then Mary stood up, greeted them all, and said to her brethren, Do not weep, and do not grieve, nor be irresolute. For his grace will be entirely with you and will protect you. Verse 3, But rather let us praise his greatness, for he has prepared us and made us into men. Made us into men. Verse 4, When Mary said this, she turned their hearts to the good, and they began to discuss the words of the Savior. Verse 5, Peter said to Mary, Sister, we know that the Savior loved you more than the rest of women. Tell us the words the Savior which you remember. Tell us words of the Savior which you remember, which you know, but we do not, nor have we heard them. Verse 7, Mary answered and said, What is hidden from you, I will proclaim to you. Verse 8, And she began to speak to them these words. She said, I saw the Lord in a vision, and I said to him, Lord, I saw you today in a vision. He answered and said to me, verse 9, Blessed are you that you did not waver at the sight of me. For where the mind is, there is the treasure. Verse 10, I said to him, Lord, how does he who sees the vision see it? Through the soul or through the Spirit? Verse 11, the Savior answered and said, He does not see through the soul nor through the Spirit, but the mind that is between the two, that is what sees the vision. And then there's the words after it is, it's blank. Now there's missing chapters, or missing pages. Page 11 to 14 in this original manuscript are all missing from the manuscript. Now I go to chapter 8, and it blank and it ends with the word it, but all of the 9th verse evidently ends with just the word it. Now verse 10 says, and desire said, I did not see you descending, but now I see you ascending. Why did you lie, since you belong to me? Verse 11, the soul answered and said, I saw you. You did not see me, nor recognize me. I served you as a garment, and you did not know me. Verse 12, when it said this, it, the soul in parentheses, went away rejoicing greatly. Verse 13, again it came to the third power, which is called ignorance. Verse 14, the power questioned the soul, saying, where are you going? In wickedness are you bound? But you are bound. Do not judge. Verse 15, and the soul said, why do you judge me, although I have not judged? Verse 16, I was bound, though I have no bound. Verse 17, I was recognized, but I have not. But I have recognized that the all is being dissolved, both the earthly things and the heavenly. Verse 18. When the soul had overcome the third power, it went upwards and saw the fourth power, which took 7 forms. Verse 19. The first form is darkness, the second desire, the third ignorance, the fourth is the excitement of death, the fifth is the kingdom of the flesh, the sixth is foolish wisdom of flesh, the seventh is the wrathful wisdom. These are the 7 powers of wrath. Verse 20. They asked the soul, whence do you come, slayer of men? Or when are you going to conquer of space? Let me read that again. Verse 20. They asked the soul, whence do you come, slayer of men? Or where are you going, conqueror of space? Verse 21. The soul answered and said, what binds me has been slain, and what turns me about has been overcome. Verse 22. And my desire has been ended, and the ignorance has died. Number 23. In an aeon I was released from a world, and in a type from a type, and from the fetter of oblivion, which is transient. Verse 24. For this time, from this time on, will I attain to the rest of the time, of the season, of the aeon, in silence. Chapter 9. When Mary had said this, she fell silent, since it was to this point that the Savior had spoken with her. Verse 2. But Andrew answered and said to the brethren, say what you wish to say about what she said. I at least do not believe that the Savior said this, for certainly these teachings are strange ideas. Verse 3. Peter answered and spoke concerning these same things. Verse 4. He questioned them about the Savior. Did he really speak privately with a woman and not openly to us? Are we to turn about and all listen to her? Did he prefer her to us? Verse 5. Then Mary wept and said to Peter, my brother Peter, what do you think? Do you think that I have thought this up myself in my heart, or that I am lying about the Savior? Verse 6. Levi answered and said to Peter, Peter, you have always been hot-tempered. Verse 7. Now I see you contending against a woman like the adversaries. Verse 8. But if the Savior made her worthy, why are you indeed to reject her? Surely the Savior knows her very well. Verse 9. That is why he loved her more than us. Rather let us be ashamed and put on the perfect man, and separate as he commanded us, and preach the gospel, not laying down any other rule or other law beyond what the Savior said. Verse 10, and when they heard this, they began to go forth to proclaim and to preach. Now, that's it, the gospel to Mary, and that's the end of it. So just click below and go and read this for yourself. I don't have any more of it. I think there probably is more of it someplace, or lost, I'm not sure. And there might be other chapters someplace. God bless each one of you. Stay safe. Thank you so much.